Welcome to our regularly scheduled commission meeting, Wednesday, July 26th. The time is 7:04. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass. Here. Vice Mayor Irvin. Here. Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Williams. Here. Mayor Taylor.
Here. As we stand for our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. God, we thank you for bringing us together one more time in your name. God, we ask that you keep us and protect us as we do your business. We ask that you touch all of our residents, God, keep them protected under your will. And we ask that we send a special prayer to Freddie Ramirez and believe in God for complete and total healing. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge of allegiance, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam Clerk, I see we have under awards, proclamations, and acknowledgements, a presentation from our management department, introduction of our new police officers. Mr. Manager, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we are super excited to introduce our community, our residents, and our elected officials to our newly hired police officers. We have been working really aggressively to fill our ranks, and our last career fair was extremely successful. So I will now turn it over to Chief Ken Otley to continue with the introduction.
Good evening, all. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Very happy to be here on your feet. I want to introduce you to the newly hired members of the Opa-locka Police Department. Roger Nesbitt, raise your hand. Jessica Wellstow. Thomas Donahue. Ronald Weeks. Nazir Mark. Carlo Alexandre. And our very own Tyree Johnson. We have one Officer Lungy who couldn't be here tonight, but he will be joining us on the 31st. Thank you. Have a seat. I have 3 commendations I want to read for the outstanding service that our officers have been performing to the city. On July 17th, 2023, at approximately 3:40 p.m., Opa-locka Police Department was dispatched to the land market in reference to several juveniles causing a disturbance. Upon arrival, recorded video reflected that the clerk attempted to stop them from stealing candy, chips, sodas, etc. And the subject pulled out a firearm. One of the subjects pulled out a firearm. The clerk then let them go, and they all fled on foot. A bolo, which is to be on the lookout, was issued, and minutes later, Officer Jean Baptiste and Officer Lefevre located the subjects at the Gloriette Apartments. They both jumped out and grabbed him. He resisted, attempting to pull away, and was redirected to the ground and secured. A stolen firearm was located on his person. Records check revealed that one of the subjects was wanted first-degree homicide and other warrants. First-degree homicide is a first-degree murder. Officer Jean Baptiste and Officer Lefevre, you are hereby commended for your dedication to service exhibited by your immediate response in apprehending the wanted felon. Your actions are in keeping with the highest traditions of law enforcement profession. Keep up the great work. Please give them a round of applause. Officer Baptiste and Lefevre are not with us tonight. They'll be receiving these commendations on tomorrow. The last is Officer Dwayne Ramiki. On July 25th, this is last night, Officer Ramiki responded to theft in progress at an auto parts store in the city. The victim advised, which is the manager, that an unknown subject entered the store, grabbed 2 truck batteries, and ran out of the front door. This is a very huge gentleman. He was able to put one under each arm, and he ran out of the store and jumped into the backseat of a vehicle. Officer Ramiki took the required information for the victim. He then went above and beyond, requesting to see the store's video, surveillance video. So that's not the way that usually happens. An investigator usually comes out and pulls the video, reviews it. But Ramiki taking it upon himself, understanding the amount of stress this store owner was going under, he wanted to make sure that he got this guy and he put the proper information out on the air. He got the video, he identified the subject and the vehicle, And then he went on his merry way throughout the day, answering calls for service for the city. At the end of the shift, about 6 o'clock when he got off work, he was heading out of the city. And lo and behold, he driving down 27th Avenue and 135th Street. He observed the vehicle and he says to himself, "Self, that's the same vehicle that I saw with the broken window, same color." He stopped it, took the subject into custody, and our investigators went out. The driver admitted, confessed to taking part in the theft. He was not the individual who stole the batteries, but he did give the identification of the subject. And CID is currently working on taking that person into custody. It is for this reason that Officer Remiki's attention to detail and good investigative skills that allow for the apprehension of this subject. We commend Officer Remiki for his service to this city. Thank you.
So, Chief, we want to say thank you to your staff, our police officers that keep our city safe. So shout out to our newcomers. Welcome to the Opa-locka family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on, let's. I believe we do have an add-on item. Madam.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, do you want me to read it now or you want to go through the poll list first?
No, let's read it now because I'm gonna make an amendment to the agenda.
Okay, this item would be included as 14.1, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the contract between the City of Opa-locka, Florida and Bernadette Norris Weeks, PA, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This item is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. We're voting to add it to the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
okay, and I also would like to make a motion to rearrange the agenda to move, what did you say? Vice Mayor?
Move it 16-1.
16-1 to right after Citizens Forum.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
okay, we're going into the consent agenda for pull list deferrals or deletions from the consent agenda. Do we have any?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Bass, then
I would-
Commissioner Kelly,
I'd like to pull 13.1.
okay. Commissioner Kelly,
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull 2, 4, and 6.
okay, so I have 1, 2, 4, and 6 from the consent agenda. All right. Okay, can we vote to approve the agenda, consent agenda, I'm sorry.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
all right, can we approve tonight's agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Kelly. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, can I get the approval of the minutes from the regular commission meeting, minutes, June 28, 2023?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass, second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, and I don't see District 1 or District 2, but I know we had a report from our state rep, District 109. Are they here yet?
No, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
All right, so we'll come back and reopen later. All right, we're gonna go into public presentations. We have a public presentation from Civic Plus. I don't want to pronounce the name wrong, Mr. Tim Koschel and Ms. Boo Hendrick. Are you all present at this moment?
Mr. Mayor, they are appearing virtually.
They're appearing virtually.
Yes.
All right, so you all have the floor. Madam Mr. Clerk, can you turn the? IT, can you? So that's, we all can be able to see.
Mr. Mayor.
City Manager,
Thank you, sir. So while we're waiting for IT to turn the television, I want to give a brief introduction for the presentation we're about to receive. Civic Plus is a company that the city of Opa-locka is already working with in our Parks Department. They are contracted. They're currently managing our website, and they're also working with our Clerks Department. We are looking to expand their services tonight with a presentation on how they can digitize for our residents. Our code enforcement department, our community development department, and our building and license department. So residents will be able to go online from their phones to actually look at their building license, their permits, code enforcement violations, and developers can also manage their projects. So really super excited for this presentation this evening.
okay. All right, Civic Plus, you all have the floor, and we ask that you limit the presentation to 10 minutes. We have a long agenda. Are they on? Mr. Tim Carshell, you have the floor. Okay, so while IT works on getting them connected, we're gonna go to the second presentation, which is from Carolina Lozano, Account Supervisor for Roar Media. Mr. Manager, did you want to introduce?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is our first actual presentation from our media and PR firm, Roar Media. Super excited to discuss some new initiatives that they want to do to promote the city of Opa-locka while covering some of the successes that we've had in the last 6 months.
All right. Roar Media, you have the floor, and again, we'll ask that you limit the presentation to 10 minutes.
Terrific. Well, good evening, Honorable Mayor, elected officials, commissioners, city manager, and the residents of this beautiful city of Opa-locka. My name is Jacques Hart. I represent a wonderful team at Roar Media. There's about 9 individuals that work on representing, communicating, promoting, and marketing the city. So as you can tell, my name is not Carolina, but she is the account supervisor on this program. And we're using today as an opportunity to share with you some of the achievements that collectively we put together in the last 6 months. And so it's been a wonderful collaborative project working with the mayor, the commissioners, the city manager on some of these accomplishments. And so with that being said, there is a presentation that I kindly direct you to view. And of course, this is for public record, and you're welcome to review this report as well. So with the help of IT, I would just advance here and take a moment to underscore our mission, right? From a public marketing and PR and communication standpoint, our mission is really to support the city of Opa-locka with an integrated marketing communication program that raises your awareness in efforts to attract new businesses, support economic growth, and elevate the quality of life in the community. Moving forward. So we were contracted in January of this year, and so we're at a halfway mark of the year. And I think this slide just kind of illustrates, where we have been and where we are going. So the first couple months, really getting to know the city, the various different players, research, assessment, auditing, evaluating your different programs, moving into implementing and, the existing structure that you had. And then we developed a brand refresh and a new style guide. And then moving into the release of our new marketing strategy. And so this is something that we presented to the city manager and team about 3 weeks ago. It's a very detailed, comprehensive marketing strategy that touches upon earned, owned, and paid media, whether it be public relations, event marketing, social media, digital advertising, to meet your various different objectives and needs. And so we're really at that next step right now where we want to implement our, comprehensive strategy. And so I'm happy to share certain elements of that with you. It is a very long plan. It's 120 pages, and it goes into a great deal of depth in terms of addressing your specific objectives and needs. Moving forward. I'll bring you two actually. And so, some of our strategic priorities, right, really create a foundation for growth as it relates to your marketing communication needs, improve the reputation and the credibility of the city. And so we know historically, the city's been confronted with some challenges, and we want to, elevate our visibility and our awareness and really focus on the value and the benefits and the quality of life in this area, underscoring its reputation and credibility. And then lastly, being a partner to our residents, engaging with you, receiving your feedback and your input, incorporating that into our communications, such that it really does improve the quality of your life as well. Moving to the next one. So I'm going to take a moment to kind of just share with you, some of our accomplishments to date. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We've really moved the needle. And I think we're at a pivotal moment right now where if we get your blessing, we can move through with our strategic plan and actually implement a citywide branding campaign as well. So to date, as I mentioned, we created this integrated marketing communications program and plan. We worked on the city gateway project, which includes signage throughout the city, welcoming our residents and providing a really beautiful landscape. Completed initial debrief with the commissioners. So thank you for engaging with us, your feedback. We certainly welcome your input and your feedback along the way and look forward to collaborating with you at a higher level as well. We scheduled many different large scale presentations with the city manager, clerk's office, the police department, et cetera, et cetera. And we streamlined a lot of processes. And, something that I want to bring to attention is we are an integrated marketing communications agency. There are 9 people working on your program, and we're taking a very systematic, methodical approach. Essentially, what has occurred is you don't have a chief information officer. We're functioning as that officer. We're functioning as your social media team, as your PR team, as your marketing team, as your partially an events marketing agency. And so you're getting a whole team to collaborate with you in this process. And so in doing so, we have to stretch out and extend our hand across many different departments, both elected officials as well as internal departments, and create some structure and some organization. And we have those workflows in place right now. And I think our level of communication has really improved dramatically. So thanks to all of you to getting on that bandwagon. It means a lot, and it really streamlines our work. And as a result, we can do much more with you. Moving to the next page, please. Thinking of our branding efforts, what have we accomplished from a branding standpoint? We had a very successful messaging and positioning workshop. Your feedback and your input from the commissioners was extremely valuable. That document has been published now. I encourage you to look at it, but we've got an is-a statement, we have a mission statement, we have a vision statement, we have a boilerplate, we have an about us passage. We have the language that we need to really tell the new narrative of the city of Opa-locka. So thank you for your participation in that. We created a new city seal and marketing logo, developed new email signatures, created a new style guide, created a social media handbook and playbook, and conceptualized 5 different city branding campaigns. And I'll share with one that is kind of the leading contender and some of the creative that goes behind that. On to the next slide, please. I had just discussed this. This is the messaging and positioning. There is a link here to that document. But some of the themes here are really awesome, folks. Key messaging to promote that this is a major landmark economic and infrastructure development is underway. that, we offer an efficient, unified direction for capital improvement programs. The downtown area is re-emerging and being beautified. There's investments being made in public safety and protection. There are more jobs and business opportunities in city of Opa-locka than ever before. That we're focused on affordable housing opportunities, centrally located and easily accessible. You can go on and on with these themes, but we have crystallized them in language, and now we're using them in our PR communications and our social media communications and telling the story to other cities, other residents, other businesses that are thinking about moving here. Moving to the next slide, please. Sorry to be speaking too fast. I see that 2 o'clock, 2 minutes and counting on my hand. Super. This is an indication of our new logo and seal that I see behind us here as well, that we're starting to use in all of our communications. From a social media standpoint, moving forward, sir. Thank you for keeping up with me. One more slide, please. We've done a lot in social media, folks. We've audited your existing social media presence. We've created a new Instagram account. We've optimized and gained access to your Facebook and Twitter accounts. We set up and configured all of your platforms on a digital management platform where we now have insights, reports, numbers, et cetera, et cetera. We developed new community management protocols. We do get a lot of feedback in social media, and we have a team responding to those comments and directing them to the right officials and that sort of thing. We've established language guidelines so that, our messaging and positioning is also resonant and effective in social media. We prepared a new reporting structure, and I'll share some of the notes with you and the details moving forward. So here are some of the results that we're seeing in social media. In the last 6 months, we've published more than 711 published posts. That is about 3 times the amount that we actually contracted for. But we're proud to do it. There's a lot of news, a lot of information coming out of the city. Overall, our performance has been really strong. We've gained, 400 plus followers, and you have a new visual identity in social media that's unified over Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and that sort of thing. And then we've also really been able to highlight, the career fair, the city beautification, the non-emergency hotline, other historic moments, traffic alerts, really important information for our constituents. We're getting it out there into social, and I'm hoping that the residents feel that they're being communicated with at a higher level. Moving to the next slide. So here are some numbers, but these are powerful numbers, right? We've gained our total followers 25%. I should say that wrong. Followers gained is 111%. We've had over 5,000 video views, 300,000 impressions. Our engagement rate far exceeds the industry average. So we have a high engagement rate of about 5%. That means that people are enjoying our content, they're responding to it, they're interacting with it, they're commenting on it, et cetera, et cetera. We've had over 20,000 social media engagements. Moving forward. Commissioners, can I please ask for another 5 minutes? I do feel that there's some important information here. I'm happy to skip to the branding concepts and allow the commission to review this report at a later date, but I do feel it's important for the city to see some of the new branding concepts that we're putting forward.
Okay, you have this in paper form? Well, you know what? I want to hear my colleagues. Extra.
No, I was saying that if you don't mind, we did have a lot of residents that really wanted to speak.
I can understand.
If the commission wanted to amend the agendas to bring up public forum, public comments, and then we can come back to the branding after, if you didn't mind.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I would really appreciate you guys seeing some of the branding.
This in paper form?
Because we don't have it.
It is in a form that all of you can view. Yes. It's not printed in the, trying to save the environment here.
Mr. Mayor,
Well,
There's also a lot of digital content that just doesn't print well.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
he can come back to the next meeting, do a finished presentation. Let's hear from the residents.
Yeah, so
yeah,
You'd like us to come back to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. Super.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
no problem. Okay, Mr. Manager, before we open up public, for citizens forum, the other presentation, Civic Plus, are they? No, not yet. Okay, so we're moving on. So we're getting ready to open up our citizens forum. Madam Clerk, can you please read into record the decorum policy for citizen forum?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at the Opa-locka Municipal Complex, City Commission Chambers, 780 Fisherman Street, 3rd floor, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. And Mr. Mayor, at this time, we do not have any virtual public comments.
No virtual comments. All right, so we're gonna open up citizens forum. Citizens forum is open. And also to our residents, as Commissioner Miller comes to the front, if you want to take a seat, you can. We have seats in the front up here and some over.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
former Commissioner Gail Miller, 14235, Northwest 22nd Place, Opa-locka, Florida. First of all, I'd like to say, thank you all. Y'all are doing a great job. I see my police department, I see the city hall. Y'all having all kind of different things for the children and the citizens. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, my second thing is, y'all bear with me because this is gonna hurt my heart tonight, but I'm here because y'all got on the agenda to name Service Road. After the late Deborah Sheffield Irving. I miss her so much. And y'all look around and see the community come out. They want to support Deborah because they know what Deborah did for this city. And I appreciate you all. I'm telling y'all thank you right now because I know we're going to vote for that ordinance. So I'm telling y'all thank you, thank you, thank you, and vote for that ordinance so that street can be named after my sister.
Thank
Thank-
y'all. Thank you all. I'm Deborah's daughter.
Citizens forum is still open.
My name is Patricia Ellis. I happen to live on 1146 Dunat Avenue, Opa-locka. I did not sign up because I did not know the process. I don't get notices of these commission meetings, but I would like to petition you to send me copies of every time you have an agenda to send it forwarded by email to me. I had the opportunity last week to go before the county commissioners and speak regarding the increase in the non-ad valorem taxes. Hardly no citizens were there. This is the second year they've gone up. I spoke, I asked that they do not increase, but rather decrease it, and they talked about a contract. They talked about, they opened it up and say, let's be honest with the citizens. We have a contract for the recyclables that we used to get paid for before COVID, but now we pay them to pick up our recyclables. The amount they asked this year is $38 increase. They say it's more money is needed. It's $150 per pickup is needed. So they've been kicking the can, as they termed it, for years, 20 years, 30 years. They've been kicking the can. So they deferred that decision, which was a ordinance second reading public hearing, to September 3rd. I asked that my representatives of the city of Opa-locka and the citizens present themselves to speak before that commission because they are bigger than us and they're the ones providing the service and we don't get good service for the money we pay. Every time it goes up, services go down. We used to get once a week pickups from the side of the road. It done went to 2 times a year and you got to give sufficient notice to get that done. That's one of the things I wanted to make mention during my little presentation here. Roy Media, who just spoke, I went to a 4th of July celebration event at the city park, Shabundi. And we did not know about it, but for my son going to the store and seeing it and say, what's going on? So if Roy Media has been working for the city since January 2023, did Roy Media put out the notice that we were having a big event on that park? Because there were very few citizens there. That's number 2. And Civic Plus Zoom presentation is not coming through. And lastly, Deborah Sheffield Irby. I knew her. I still love her. And yes, we want the street to be named after Deborah. You do whatever that comes before you to honor this lady. Please pass it because she deserved it. She was a public servant and she did not ask for much in return for the things that she did for our citizens in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, Vice Mayor. My name is Johnny Green, 2091 Wilmington Street. And I'm here this evening to also support the naming of a street for Deborah Irby. Deborah was one that always looked out for others. If she was here today, she would call, Johnny May, it's time, school getting ready to start again. You know any kids that need book bags? She was always giving, not only to the children, but those who could not pay their bills. She also paid water bills, light bills, etc. And I hope that this do pass in her honor. My other concern is the agenda. I've been in Opa-locka for a long time. I don't know what's going on because I don't have an agenda. I used to get agendas from Ms. Flores, but for some reason, you don't send seniors. We have seniors, which like I said, I am a senior, and I feel that I'm due that courtesy. That agenda should be sent out because I don't know what's happening. People say, oh, you know, last night such and such a thing happened in the city. Oh, it did? I didn't know of that. So I would appreciate it if you would start back sending agendas. And I'm asking the commission, please don't forget the East. The East is not all. Nothing has been being done on the East side. And I would appreciate it very much if you all would looking at us. And full citizens, not people, citizens in our community that comes to me, they voted for you. I think you need to be out there seeing what our concerns are, because there are plenty concerns. And I can't give answers, but you can because you were there and you said you would do these things. When you were walking, when it rained, I don't know what's happening about the infrastructure, but something needs to be done. When it rains, I can't get into my house. Water just settles. So I'm asking that something also be done about that, and it should be expedited. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Citizens Forum is still open.
Hello, my name is Merrick Williams, 1211 Rice Street, and I have nothing but good to say tonight. I've only been here as a resident for about 7-8 months. I purchased an old abandoned house that needs a lot of love and care. And this commission, city manager, have during my time here been nothing but open, caring, responsive, and on many occasions, I've had a chance to sit and talk with you guys, not just here at this meeting, but individually to share my concerns, and you have been more than open. And I've attended Commissioners Kelly's Monday meetings. I've had personal conversations with just about everyone here. And I think you guys have known this property because it's been around for a while, vacant and abandoned. So you guys are pretty aware of probably what I took on when I purchased it. So now that the good is over, I have to make you aware that probably about a week or two, no, maybe a month ago, I received a water bill at this property for $5,000. And I have tried to get it resolved because there was no one living there and there was no water there. And I know you know it, Ms. Bass, because you live on that street and no one's there using that water. So I got a lot of back and forth, whether the county's responsible, the city's responsible. And at this point, I've asked for an administrative hearing with the city officials to try and get to the bottom line. I have talked to people at the city, some of which have said create a payment plan, and I said for a bill for which I didn't create, no thanks. So I'm asking that this commission take a personal interest in this property because I think it will indeed add to our city once it's corrected and done and beautiful like the other homes on my street. And that's pretty much it. I just want to take a personal interest and thank everybody individually. Ms. Williams, for the job that you've done with the green trees, trying to restore our neighborhoods, trying to keep our swells cleaned out, planting trees. I'm so happy for that. So happy for Commissioner Bass for the job that she's doing to thank and appreciate the people in this city, for the mayor for his leadership, for Mrs. Irvin for the work that you've done, and Commissioner Kelly's Monday meetings, which I have made quite a few of them, as many as I can. Just continue the good work that you're doing. I feel proud to be an Opa-lockian because I see the change. I've seen the buildings, the abandoned buildings come down. I now have sidewalks on my street. So I know we talk a lot about the bad, but we forget to recognize the good. And there's a lot of good here. And I thank you guys for that. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Patricia Ellis, I would like to add to my comments,
Ms.
which
Pat.
I didn't use. May I get permission to add? No, this is a compliment. Listen, this deals with your 13.5, where the millage, you're proposing a millage rate of 9.35. Is that a decrease from 9.8?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's a good thing, because that means my taxes will go down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Wines from the Glorietta Gardens, apartment 13004, Alexandria Drive, apartment 103. You guys been in my unit already. Y'all know how it is. Right now I'm going through a little issue because they placed me into a hotel for 2 days so far. And then when I came in today, they spoke to me and told me they could only do it for a week. I had to go into a unit where they already digged up sewer and everything inside the unit. I'm out of breath, I'm tired, y'all. They dug up sewer.
Take your time, go ahead.
They digged up the sewer and everything and already in them units. And I refuse to go back on the east side where I already know the problem is. Y'all can't pick me out of a sewer unit to go back into another sewer unit because y'all made it look pretty. So I'm trying to see what can they do. Now they try to force it saying, oh, well, they only go pay for a week, which that's unfair when all this is going on in our units. We got to live there. They go home. You guys go home. Everybody go home comfortable because we not paying market rent. We get treated like this. We shouldn't be living with rats, roaches, termites, frogs, gnats, mold, sewer coming in our units, the tiles, the mosquitoes, it's just everything is wrong with it. The stuff breaks. They have people come in to act like they fixing it. Then you have a problem in 2 more days. It's unfair for us to keep going through this. it's nothing really being done. Either y'all wanna come help us so they could tear down them buildings, fix it up, or help us move, because this is very unfair. I don't like that. I am pregnant. I can't keep going through this situation. My son just got broke out all over his body because he keep taking a bath in that water. It don't make sense that we have to live like this to stay somewhere. It's only thing we have is a shelter. We living just like the people on the streets, honestly. And that's very unfair. My son developed, literally, he have a lung disease, a throat disease. He have seizures. He have chronic asthma. My son have so many issues. He see 10 specialists because why he developed an issue in them units. He go have a surgery mostly every year. He's 7 years old. That's so unfair. I can take it, but kids, they don't have to live like that. And I've been inside the Glorietta Gardens for 30 years. August make 30. I done been in most of them units. I'm not gonna keep going back until y'all fix what's going on. You can't put me in another unit when it's the same old issue. I'm going to other issues. You have rats that's big as the dogs. It's nothing but animals out there, but they so worried about messing with the tenants outside. Oh, this and that. No, fix the inside. Y'all want to come paint. Y'all want to cut the grass. What's about inside? Nobody not fixing the inside. Okay, I'm tapped out.
We hear you, Miss Jasmine. We hear you. We hear you. You want some water?
Good evening, Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jen Avenue. I'd like to speak in regards to what Ms. Ellis spoke about. The proposed millage rate, which is 9.35. I have a report that I pulled from Miami-Dade County City millage rate. If you go to page 3, you can see and compare the rest of the cities, and Opa-locka is the second highest tax rate from the rest of the cities. In 2021, we were at 9.65. In 2022, thank God it was lowered to 9.35, which was 3.1%, but we're still the second highest. On your package agenda on page 72, it states that 9.35 mils, which is $9.35 of property taxes per 1,000 of assessed property value within the city of Opa-locka. So basically, if a house is valued at $350,000 at a rate of $9.35 per 1,000, that's $3,272 of taxes. Okay. And this is what people have to come up with. We have a lot of residents that have lost their homes due to foreclosures, and it's due to not being able to pay for their mortgage, their taxes, insurance, which we all know have skyrocketed. You have retired residents living on Social Security benefits, disability, and they make under $1,000 a month. Okay. Some might have their houses paid for. However, at the end of the year, they have to find that money to pay for their taxes. We're always saying we need to do better for the residents. Why not have this lowered? I say we should lower it to 8%. That's like 1.35%. I mean, we are getting funding from the state, federal, and grants. Let's help the residents of Opa-locka. They deserve a break at this time of need. So, I know that there's going to be a hearing September 13th. So I encourage the residents, spread the word. They're going to have a meeting here September 13th at 6 p.m. We need to let our voices be heard.
Yes, Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sharon Peterson, 14250 Northwest 22nd Place, Opa-locka.
I have a concern about the permit. Miami-Dade County is doing some work, some roofing work on my home. And the work seemed like it's been over a month now because they have to go through Opa-locka for permitting every week. And I just can't get an understanding of why the work is being delayed. They come out and they work maybe 2 days a week, and then the permit man from Opa-locka have to come and say it's approved for them to continue working on the roof. I just want to know if it's true.
Okay, so what we'll do, Ms. Sharon, I hear you. So, what, Mr. Manager, can you get somebody to have a one-on-one with Ms. Peterson and get her questions answered?
Okay, because they have all these stuff in my yard, tar all on my sidewalk. I mean, it's like they just a raggedy company and I don't know what's going on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And
Um,
I'm here for Deborah Irby too.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here on behalf of Deborah Irby, being, her street being named
Yes,
after
ma'am.
her.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. If you see Ms. Walker in the back, she'll take your information down and set up a meeting with our management office to get that question answered.
I guess it's good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager. My name is Gary Johnson, 13235 Alexandria Drive, Apartment 10. The reason I have a concern about the Glory of the Gardens is that I'm part of the National Alliance Hood and Tenants Association. We deal with issues like this as far as Washington, DC, Chicago, and all over. We fight for the rights of the tenants. Now, my first concern is I would like to apologize for Opa-locka. Not just saying I said anything bad about y'all, but there is no one ever came to the rescue of the residents back there until now. So we would like to thank the mayor, the commissioners, them, and the city manager for coming and helping us out. My fourth concern is this. We would like y'all, oh, and I also forgot the captain, the chief of police that also came. All right, so make sure I got everybody, all right? So now my main concern is this. We have to understand that we live in a multifamily. There's a difference between a multifamily and a project-based Section 8. We don't live in a Section 8. So now when we are fighting for the tenants back there, if you asking them for a voucher, there's only 3 multifamilies that I know of in the state of Florida. That's the Bricks and Lincoln Field, and both of them having problems. So we ask that you be wise enough to say, well, okay, if we can't fix the problem, what are we going to implement for the 328 units? Because that's how many units back there. So we just ask you to be thoughtful and careful as far as what you're asking for. And we'd also like to know the what you came up with when you went through all the units. If you're finished, are you going to make it public to us? Or are you going to let us have a copy or what? So just take that in consideration. My next concern is this, is we have Opa-locka Opa-locka Elementary. We have Robert B. Ingram. The Sante didn't change. Say it again?
Yeah, but we got it. Nathan, we got you. Go ahead.
All right, so the Sante has passed history thing to teach African Americans that slavery gave us skills. I would like to know how we taken it and got a board to try to fight against that for our kids that have to attend these predominantly Black schools. You know, y'all don't have the answer now, but I know we need to take and find a way that we're going to inspire them. But most of all, the reason, you know what, another thing, let's give the Glory of the Gardens tennis a round of applause, because we have never, since I've been coming to this meeting, had that many Glory of the Gardens people in. Can you stand up, Glory of the Gardens? We have never in the history of Opa-locka meeting since I've been coming had more than 2 people in there from the Glory of the Gardens. So we thank y'all for coming, and we hope that y'all continue to come. But we ask the board that you keep the heat on over there on Glory of the Gardens, and we truly appreciate y'all counting in consideration.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gary. Citizens Forum is still open? Citizens Forum is still open? I thought he was too. Oh, okay.
Good evening, Sergio Bonilla, 2750 Northwest 131st, Fifth Street. My name is Sergio Bonilla. I came to the first meeting a couple of weeks ago. I'm the new principal. I thought that was a perfect segue of the Beacon College Prep at right off of 135th Street. It is a K through 8, and last meeting I had the pleasure of staying with Mayor Taylor and Commissioner Bass, and we were just talking about education and all those things. And I just came here to just say that I'm going to be attending these meetings regularly. I want to get a pulse on the community because I want to get our name out there. I want our K through 8 to be a kind of a powerhouse for K through 8 because those are such fundamental developmental years that sets them up right before they get to high school, which is basically almost adulthood and then college and all that. And to the point of the gentleman before me, because as a school and we're a public charter, but we still have to adhere to the curriculum of the state and the test at the end of the year, there's a state and all that. However, as a classroom teacher and administrator, I always learned one thing to always impart onto all students, and it's the ability to just think critically and analytically and not just accept what's just given to you. And so when we talk about our social studies department and we get to those sections of the books, we're going to teach our kids to question, to analyze, and in that way rewrite their own history. And that's what we're going to be teaching them, regardless of what the state or the district tells us.
Citizens Forum is still open. Hearing none, seeing none, Citizens Forum is closed. I do want to say, first off, thank you to all of the residents that utilized your First Amendment right. So we thank you for that. To Ms. Miller, Ms. Ellis, and Ms. Green, thank you for speaking great about the late, great Ms. Irby. We love her in this community and we know the great things that she has done in this community. To Mr. Merrick, we want to say again, thank you and welcome to Opa-locka. To Ms. Jasmine and Mr. Gary, we hear you, Glorietta Gardens. And like you said, we will not stop fighting for you. We're going to continue to fight. And as you know, all of us are there at least once or twice a week. I know Vice Mayor spends half of her day there and I spend my evenings there. So, and my colleagues, all of us have been back there. We want you to see our face. We want to let you know that we are meeting. We are having these conversations with HUD, our local, state, and federal officials, along with our city manager and our police department, because you do deserve a better living quality. And that's what we're trying to do and make sure it happens in here in the city of Opa-locka. Ms. Sharon, I hope you get that. Make sure you schedule the meeting with the manager to get those questions answered. Ms. Commissioner Dominguez, you talked about the taxes and we'll explain it. You know that we have to set something to send to the state. We can't, so that's the floor. So we can't go high anymore, but we can reduce, and we are working to reduce those taxes for our residents to relieve that burden. And to Mr. Sergio, since you brought it up, I'm gonna hold that to you on that you ensure that our children learn their history. Since you brought it up. So we wanna make sure. Oh, Vice Mayor told me, shout out to code enforcement for helping with the Glorietta Gardens. And we'll be there tomorrow, Ms. Jasmine. All right, so with that being said, any words from my colleagues? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we're gonna go ahead, Commissioner.
I'll defer to the Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to remind parents that we can teach our children their history also. You are your children's first teacher. So you can definitely teach them yourselves. Okay, so you teach your children correctly.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, and then we're
Thank you,
gonna
Mr.
move
Mayor.
on to
I
our
agree with
business.
all of the points you made. I wanted to say to Ms. Ellis, we've asked the manager to look at our MOU with the county regarding the solid waste and the challenge you mentioned. So hopefully we'll get an answer. And also I do share the same concerns about communication that was raised regarding the meeting. I'll address that more later in the meeting. So as the mayor indicated, for most of the concerns, we're grateful that you came and look forward to continue working to make things better. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem, Commissioner. So as we get ready to move on to our agenda, getting down to business, we're going to 16.1. Madam Attorney, 16.1.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, designating the section of Service Road from Northwest 22nd Avenue to Northwest 18th Avenue as Deborah Sheffield Irby Road, providing for a repealer, severability, and effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly, second by Vice Mayor. This is my item, so I will introduce it. We all know that Ms. Irby, the great things that has done in this community, and we want to celebrate her for everything that she's done. And unfortunately, we're not able to give her flowers while she was living, but we're going to right that wrong on tonight and ensure that we know that she knows that she did great in this community. And I have known Ms. Irby pretty much all of my life. And one of the good things this last couple years, she was my neighbor. And I used to get them phone calls when she used to say, you need to come down the sidewalk. And when she used to sit me on that porch, and her daughter knows, she used to tell me off. But I respect her. She taught me a lot. She instilled a lot in me, and she made me a good public servant. And for that, I will always appreciate her for that. So with that being said, we're going to open up the floor for, oh, I'm so sorry. This is, no, it's not yes, it is. We're going to open up for a public hearing. This is a public hearing item. So public hearing is open. And we ask that you, if you're going to speak, to stay germane to this topic. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any discussion from my colleagues?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I think you summed it up best with the contributions of Ms. Irby, having worked with her in the commission, of course, in the community, a longtime stalwart. So I'm glad to be able to support it and all those that came out. And let's just get it done. She deserved it.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
I am definitely supporting the item. I missed my conversations with Ms. Irby, and if you had a conversation with her, it was like none other.
Yes, ma'am.
And I do miss those real conversations. Yes, she's probably one of the most realest people I've had the pleasure of knowing. Thank you.
Okay, and I just want to say, for those of you all that don't know, Miss Irby served as our city clerk, and I believe she was the longest serving city clerk in the city of Opa-locka. So I just want to give you all that brief history for those of you that do not know or have not been able to be blessed by her presence. So if that nothing else to be said, Madam Clerk, we can call the question.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes,
Motion passes first reading 5-0.
okay,
Thank you all.
thank you all. And I do see our state rep here. So if my colleagues do not mind, before we go into our consent agenda, I want to allow her space. Is that okay with my colleagues? All right, this is our state rep, Ashley Gant, for District 109.
Hello, everyone. Please excuse my informal attire. It's been one of those days. Actually, it's been one of those months. I'll go on and say year. So, hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Gant, and I have the honor of serving you all as your state representative in Tallahassee for District 109. If you don't know, District 109 encompasses downtown, the historic Overtown, Alapata, Brownsville, Liberty City, West Little River, West View, and up here to Opa-locka. So we have the best district in the entire county, okay? We have the most beautiful and diverse communities that you will see all across Dade. And I stand firm on that. I want to thank Mr. Mayor for allowing me to be here and the commission. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. Please excuse my tardiness. I had a town hall before this. So I rushed over here in traffic, but I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry. I can provide a couple of updates. So I'll start first with the topic at hand, the ridiculousness of the Department of Education. Okay, I've been calling Commissioner Diaz out every single day since I heard about the standards. And for those of you all, just for some context, there is a task force that has different members on there that actually have experts about Black history on the Commission for African-American History in Florida. What the governor did is he created a whole new committee and appointed some non-experts, and they they created these absurd standards. So to give you some context, African-American history, well, pause. I'm a former teacher by trade. I now am an attorney. So I taught for 7 years before going into the public space as an attorney, and now here as a representative. So when I was teaching, I taught English and history. African-American history has always been, or has been for a number of years, in statute as a required body of academia to teach students. However, there was no accountability or reporting mechanism attached to it. So if you got to it during a year with all the other standards, you got to it. If you didn't, you couldn't be penalized for it because it wasn't one of those benchmarks, or it wasn't a body of benchmarks that had to be taught. Well, Representative Benjamin rectified that this last legislative session. He proposed a bill that attached the same reporting and accountability measures that was attached to Jewish history onto the African-American standards that were already in statute. It was subsequently signed by the governor, but I'm a Democrat, okay? So the diabolicalness of the Republicans, they already had this coming down a pipe with this new committee to create these absurd new standards. So what do? They created that reporting, that accountability measure, and then they changed the standards. The standards that they had before were okay. They could have been improved upon, excuse me, but instead they changed the entire body of standards for African-American history. So next week on, hold on, I'm going back to Senator Jones. So the Senate had a meeting, and the senators reached out to the Commissioner of Education and organize a town hall. The town hall will be at Antioch, and I'll send this information over to you all to share, and I will be sharing it on my different platforms. But it will be August 10th at 7 p.m. at Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, and there's a registration link. I'll have all that on my social media, and I'll give that information to you before I step away from the mic. But we have the Commissioner of Education coming. So hold him accountable. The Commissioner of Education is no longer an elected position. It's an appointed position, but he is still accountable to all Floridians, because the Department of Education duty is to be non-political, because their goal is to educate the children of Florida, and that has nothing to do with politics. And so when you look at the standards and how inaccurate they were, you could do a Google search on a number of people that they have on there, and the historical information that they have is just incorrect. So for me, as a very Black woman in America, it just looks like they just was like, okay, here, y'all could be happy with this. So that's not acceptable. As a former teacher, that is absolutely not acceptable, because even if you look at the tiered levels of rigor, they have it at identify. That's just looking at and saying this person is this. There's no higher level of thinking. There's no synthesis. There's no analysis. If we're raising our children to become adults and have the ability to synthesize information, to engage in analytical dialogue, that isn't it. So that is an update on that respect when we talk about the history, the African-American history standards that came out. There are a number of bills. I don't know. Do y'all want me to focus on anything? It's just so much. I could take questions from the audience.
We just wanted you to do a brief update. We got a long agenda.
Okay, that's it. I could, that's the brief update I could provide you. So how do you contact me? I have an office. We're at the Joseph Caleb Center. If you know or are familiar with the Joseph Caleb Center, we are in the back where Head Start is. So when you're going to the auditorium to your left, Building C, where the Black Archives used to be, my office is right there. It's Building C, Suite 101. How do you contact me? Instagram. Okay. I'm a millennial, y'all. So you can contact me. My on all social media platforms, it's Gant for Florida, GANTT for FOR Florida. And on Twitter, it's the number 4. And if you DM me or my staff, I have my district aide, Christopher. He's right here. He is the one that's going to be here while I go back to Tallahassee. We start back with committee weeks, in September. So I will be traveling back to Tallahassee come September. We are there Monday through Friday at the Caleb Center. If you want to speak to me directly, I urge you to reach out to us to schedule an appointment. So I told you all that I'm an attorney. I also have my own law firm, which is why I'm dressed like this, because I was literally at my desk since 7 a.m. this morning doing work up until 5:20 when I actually had to look like a decent human being for my town hall. So I have 2 hats that are very demanding hats. So in order for me to really be able to give you the specialized and focused attention, please get on the calendar. We have a couple different events that are coming up. It'll be on my social media, and you can also go onto my social media and sign up for my newsletter. One last thing. For a community, I believe in the village concept. So I launched a program called the Ambassador Program, and that's basically to have you all help me get into the community and bridge that lack of communication with state representatives or the state elected officials with the community. So you all know what's going on in Tallahassee, and you're not hearing it from the news, because honestly, the news has not been able to report all the damage that was done in the last legislative session. So with that, that's it.
Well, I want to say thank you, State Rep, District 109, for the great things that you are doing in Tallahassee. And we ask that you continue to fight for the city of Opa-locka. So thank you. Any of my colleagues have anything for our State Rep?
Just thank you, ma'am.
Oh,
I
Vice
just
Mayor.
want to say thank you. That
Thank
was
you.
it.
And-
Oh, no, just Mr. Mayor, not to beat the dead horse, but you know, we talk all the time, and I do know we do plan and hopefully as a board and as a city that we also rally behind not only just the absolutely absurd bills that totally tarnish and hurt all of education, but anything that just hurt the body of people that are hurting. So we rally behind you, and we thank you for being here. I just wanted to introduce myself to the Beacon principal. He's talking. Who also said that he would rally behind his team as well. So whatever we need to do, we're here for you, not just for that one bill, but just for everything. And we're so grateful that you're here. We rarely get to have in person, you know, our you're here, even though you look like you just played tennis with Serena. But we thank you so much.
I wish.
Have a good one.
Thank you. One last thing. So for the high schools that are in my district, state
Yes.
reps, we get 7 bill slots. I'm reserving 1 bill slot because I will be launching a bill writing contest for all of our high school students If they're at Turner Tech, Central, Northwestern, Jackson, or Booker T, those are my 5 high schools in my district. So to engage the teens in the democratic process, we're going to be having a bill writing contest. So please follow me, contact us so that you can, when we launch the information, you can share with all the teens that you know. I'm very excited about that. So thank y'all.
I believe Commissioner Kelly had.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to echo the comments that my colleagues made, and thank you for coming to the beautification conversation. And I know that you have something scheduled on the 5th, but hopefully you can come by for the cleanup that morning. And as you heard, I think the mayor mentioned all of our efforts trying to make sure the Gloria Apartments situation, I know you've been over there, so we look forward to you using your political capital to help us as well.
Absolutely. I am livid about the conditions over there. So yes, thank you.
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you. Okay, as we get ready to go into our consent agenda, Madam Attorney, 13-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to create a sister city program, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly. Moved by Commissioner Kelly. All right. Hearing none, so we'll move on to the second item.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to take all necessary steps to establish Kaboom Park as one of the city's official parks in honor of National Parks and Recreation Month, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. This is my item. So as we know, Kaboom Park has been in our city for a couple years, and I wanted us to take all necessary steps into establishing that park as an official park in the city of Opa-locka. And this is not a new idea. Many commissioners before have tried to move this process along, and I just want to make sure that we don't drop the ball in order for the children in the Magnolia/Triangle area has a part to play at. But it was pulled, so we're gonna open up for discussion. Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you. I support the item of having the park or taking the steps to acquire. The question I have is the structure of the financial impact, because the financial impact says will be included in the plan that presented to the city commission. But the resolution basically says take the steps to acquire it. So we're going to take the steps to establish it. To do that, I need to know the difference between the establishment and actually the steps to make it ours. Is the establishment just the name of what has to be occurred before we take the next steps to actually do what is needed? I need a little clarity on that part.
Okay, so the necessary steps is I wanted us to actually acknowledge it as a park. As far as the acquiring of the entire property, that's something that we would have to work with legal and our management department on. And what I can do for that next step is to amend and ask the manager and or legal to bring back a plan for the acquiring of the property. But as far as adopting this and making this, establishing as a official park in the city, that's what I want to do on today.
Well, so if we're just gonna define it or want to put in the parks plan, you're saying basically that there's no cost for that? Because I'm looking at the financial impact and it says it's to do whatever, it's gonna require legal expense. What it sounds like to me you're saying is there are two separate parts to it. So that's what I'm trying to get clarity. We're gonna just take the steps to name it or to establish it. That's one thing, a city park. So we do that within the park that we own, because I think it's some other parts we got to acquire to make it fully work. Are we just going to name it and then that's all going to happen, but no dollars expended till the plan comes back? Are we going to expend the dollars and then bring it back in the plan? I just need a clarity on that.
Okay,
Which way we're doing.
this will be a two-phase thing, exactly what you said. So one is to establish and two, to develop a plan in order to bring it all up under one umbrella. If that,
Okay, I guess. Well, then the background on the analysis from the agenda cover memo basically says the financial impact will be included in the plan. But if it's included in the plan and you've already started, we won't be able to stop at that point because you've already committed resources. Because it says it's going to require legal expense. I guess the only thing that I'm concerned about is how much we're going to expend to do what needs to be done. And I would prefer that we put some kind of cap on it. If it goes beyond that, it comes back. Because I don't really know what that means to the legal expense for the creation. Unless maybe the manager's office or even legal can tell me. I support the idea of us having the park that's right there. But I just need to know what those dollar amounts are going to be to make that happen. That's really my question. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
no problem. Mr. Manager, would you like to weigh in on the dollar amount?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. We can do that regarding the second steps that you want discussed. Is that correct, sir? Yes. So Kaboom Park is a park that's made of several different parcels. 4 of the parcels are currently not owned by the city of Opa-locka. 2 of them are owned by the Opa-locka CDC and 2 of them are owned by private developers. Unless the city of Opa-locka owns the entirety of the land, we're unable to identify that as a park, and we're also unable to even put a fence around the property that we own. Management understands that, estimates that it will cost approximately $250,000 to $500,000 to acquire all 4 pieces of that land.
Mr. Mayor?
Madam Attorney?
Yes, I just want to just mention that you all may remember that there are 2 parcels at least that one of the owners is willing to deed over to the city, which as a part of an overall agreement. So just to kind of remind you of that.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Manager?
That was included in the estimate cost, sir. Thank you.
So if I'm, Mr. Mayor, I said before.
Yeah, yes, sir, Commissioner.
So if I'm understanding correctly, to make this work, it's going to cost $250,000. Is that what I'm hearing?
Or more.
Is that what I'm hearing, to do what you have to do?
No, to acquire the property, that's the number that the manager said. But I don't think there's an ordinance or anything that prohibits the city from adopting this area and officially making it a park for the city.
Okay, then I don't have a problem if we can we name that property in its own, according to what the manager's saying, it's owned by all these different owners, notwithstanding the 2 that would deed over? Can we name it knowing that there are actually other owners?
We absolutely can. It has a name now, Commissioner Kelly.
Hmm?
It has a name now.
No, but I'm saying for us to make it ours. That's what I'm saying. Can we do that?
Yeah, there's nothing that prohibits us from doing that. There's nothing that prohibits the city from adopting that area as a park. Now, as far as the parcels of land, no, we have to acquire them if we so desire in the future, which is why I said it's a 2-step process, and which we won't do until that comes back before the commission. But I just wanted to establish that area as a park.
Well, if we can, Mr. Mayor, I would support the item, but it has to say, to establish the Kaboom Park without, cost. And then that second step, when it comes back, obviously would be the cost part. Because where it reads now, the costs of some costs, legal costs, whatever, will be factored into it, unless I'm reading it incorrectly. Is there a way, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney to segue it out? According to what the mayor is saying, that there's no cost for us to establish it or to put it as a part of the city's parks system?
Commissioner Kelly, I don't know the answer to that question. That would be something that, along with management, I would have to work with them on and try to get you an answer for that. I don't have an answer right now.
Okay.
I guess the question, the challenge I have, Mr. Mayor, $250,000 is not in this document, so I'm just trying to understand, even if we establish it and we say it's ours, I guess not knowing how we're going to go about getting the money for it is the challenge, but it's your item, so I'll let you decide how you want to approach it. Thank you. I listen to my colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Well, what we can do, Commissioner Kelly, I can defer the item and then we can work it a little bit better to answer the questions that arose tonight, and then we can go from there. So it is my item, so I will pull it and defer it, and then we'll rework it and bring it back with the proper verbiage and to answer the questions
And
that,
could I just add, since you're going to defer it?
yes, sir.
And it's your item that you will work with the manager's office, the attorney's office, whomever, because to make sure if this is the road that you want to take included, that it's also part of the park master plan that's being worked on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor.
All right. All right, so we're gonna defer this
Mr.
item.
Mayor.
Oh, Commissioner Williams?
I know you're gonna defer it, but I thought it would be fruitful for you to hear everyone's thoughts. I know that you're gonna rework it and massage it to bring it back. I'm glad you did pull it because I myself felt as if the city already had a lot going on in our other parks, specifically in Ingram and all other parks. For our city to take on another project right now, I am wholeheartedly in agreement that we need to definitely put our pulse on Kaboom Park when it's the right time. But I myself, quite frankly, didn't think that this was the right time. Thank you.
No problem. All right, so we're gonna defer the item.
Go ahead. I agree.
Okay, so it is my item, so we're gonna defer it. So Madam Attorney, we're deferring item 13.2. All right, going to item 13.4.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the interim city manager to enforce city land use rights through a code enforcement process that prohibits property owners from encroaching upon city-owned property and easement rights, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Williams.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Commissioner Williams, you want to present this item?
Sure. It's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, it's just to provide uniformity in our city with this particular resolution for us to do just that. We know that what we do is stand by our residents to ensure that we have laws that are enforced we know that laws are enforced on one side of the city, but not on the other. This resolution will direct the city manager to utilize all efforts directed to the code enforcement to protect our property rights through the city, and also to provide details. I'm requesting that the manager, if it's okay, to also allow Ms. Wilma Wilcox to discuss some of the challenges when it arises, if you don't mind. Also, I wanted to call attention to the fact that several meetings ago, Ms. Wilcox provided a document, which is also within our legislation under supporting documentation of encroachment and properties that fell under it. And if you all recall, we were a little taken aback by it. So Ms. Wilcox, thank you.
Okay, 1 second, Ms. Wilcox. So we're gonna open the floor up for discussion. Anything from the commission? I can start. All right. All right. I understand the item, but I also felt that the item was duplicative of what's already in place in the city right now. So I didn't see why the item was necessary. And also I thought the item was premature without a plan right now, because for several meetings, we have had residents come up to us about this issue and we have yet to respond. To respond with a resolution like this pretty much sends the message to the residents that we don't really care. And so I don't feel comfortable supporting this for that particular reason, because I want to make sure that the questions that arose from those residents about this particular issue is answered, and that the city develops a plan in order to respond to that issue that is taking place right now on the east side of our city. So that's my stance on this. Any other,
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
if I didn't know any better, you took my talking points. This issue has come up 2 or 3 times in Meet Me Monday. I've asked, I know the residents have had code enforcement come out. I've asked the manager's office for some kind of plan or to address this issue and let me know what they finally decide. And what I discovered was the residents were still getting notice, in some cases citations. We all know that the city's property is the city's property. The city's right of way is the city's right of way. There's no argument about that. I asked simply for a plan of how to deal with this so that the residents, not only on the east side, which is primarily where the concerns came from after we decided to open Ingham Park, it became a focal point. That was my first challenge, at least for those residents, because prior to the park being open, nothing had occurred. Matter of fact, we even given some permits. But that does not take away the fact that it's still city property and our rights are our rights. So what I want to see, I don't like the legislation here as it's presented, because I don't see a process and I don't see a plan. What I see is to enforce the city rights, which is correct, which is fine. We all want to do that. So if this legislation is going to pass, Madam Attorney, and you can help me if we can't do it, you can tell me that too. I want to see, number one, from the manager, some kind of process to how it's going to lay out, how folks are going to be notified, because some of them are already getting citations. Some already have been cited. And I think I'm glad Ms. Wilcox is there because I can ask the question after our presentation regarding that. But the process of how this is going to lay out, because we already have the law, but we knew when these residents came, some of them came to this meeting. I've put it in black and white for Meet Me Monday meetings and still not got a response because I know this was going to come to this point. There is no arguing city property is city property, city, whatever, we got that. So what I'm proposing is to first, to the sponsor, a process of how residents are going to be notified to come into compliance, if it's possible for some kind of amnesty as this process is taking place, because some of those folks that own those homes have challenges just like anybody else, and to come into compliance to take down a fence or move the fence is going to cost. So I would like to know what that cost would be if I got to move the fence to take it down, because that's the cost. If we're going to go ahead, I would suggest we give those residents all over the city an opportunity, and I'm really referring more to residential than business, but the resolution speaks to just our process for owners from encroaching city property. So all of them for that matter, a process or amnesty if possible, and help dealing with mitigating so they come into compliance, because code enforcement is designed to come into compliance, not just to make money. And so to me, when I talk to some of these residents, not just on this issue, but others that have come up since I've been back, it seems like we're more concerned about making funds or making money or bringing in money than we are just getting people to comply. So to the attorney, I'd like to know if we can do that, and to the manager via the sponsor, the process that will be used, and to give folks an opportunity to come into compliance before we start citing them. We had a lot of compassion for the folks at the flea market when they had to move and what have you. We worked with them, we waived stuff and gave them opportunity and assisted them. I want to be able to see the same kind of compassion for homeowners, particularly to deal with the mitigation of moving their fences or taking them down to comply. We all agree need to comply. That's not the issue. So, Mr. Mayor, via the sponsor, I'd like to get those questions, if possible, answered by the manager or the sponsor regarding the process. And as the attorney, can we do amnesty or propose anything to assist residents in the time frame for before we actually start citing them? Thank you.
Miss-
All right, any other,
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Williams?
Yes, I know Commissioner Kelly did ask to speak, so if you don't mind, before Ms. Wilcox, he wanted to know if the manager, so I would like to defer to the manager really quick.
Okay, so Mr. Manager, and he also asked for the attorney to weigh in
Yes.
on the amnesty program. So I guess the manager can go first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just want to clarify that what is being requested by the commissioner is already occurring. The first citation is a warning. There is no pecuniary penalty to it. We have had conversations with every single resident before they are cited. We provided them with timeframes to move the property, to move the fences. We've offered to pay for moving the fences for them, to forego any further encroachment process. We've had multiple conversations with every single resident to have these discussions, to show them the survey, to show that this is city property, and to amicably resolve any issues that we have. So this is our code. It's already incorporated in our policies and procedures with not just this issue, with all code enforcement issues, is to first have a conversation to give the opportunity to the homeowner to resolve it without a pecuniary fine. I have voided wherever that there is no documentation. If the code enforcement even forgets to document that they have provided this warning to someone that receives a code enforcement, that is grounds for me to actually waive any citation. So I strictly enforce that we provide residents the opportunity to cure the issues in code enforcement before any pecuniary issues move forward. Again, code enforcement is not there to make money. It's there to just enforce our laws. Here we have some extreme issues with encroachment because many of the homeowners that have moved their property lines onto city property are now covering water meters, power lines, water and sewer lines, and we're having difficulty reading meters. We're having difficulty accessing our water lines and power lines due to these encroachments. This issue is just coming. This has actually been an issue that has been ongoing for quite some time. Some of these fences have been there for 5, 7, 10 years. This is coming up now, particularly with water and sewer, because we are now billing our residents what they actually use by reading their water meters. For years, the city of Opa-locka just did our billing by estimates. So obviously we don't need to go out to the property to read the meter to send them a estimate. Here that has changed. We are now reading the meters, sending them actual invoices of their actual utilization, and we need access to those water and sewer meters. I'm open to any additional things that the commission would like to add to the process that is in place, both by policies and procedures and by our code. But we're always looking to resolve this amicably with the residents.
Mr. Mayor?
1 second, because I think Commissioner Kelly had.
Mr. Mayor, I don't want to hear the rest of the call. When I talk about apples, I talk about apples. When I talk about oranges, I talk about oranges. I'm not concerned about reading meters. I only ask the process. So if the manager is telling me that the process is already in place and we're following it, and that no one is being cited before they are explained, et cetera, I will hear that and I will find out from residents if that's the case, and we're doing that. That's great. I am just saying going forward, because this legislation, in my opinion, is asking to go and do something that's already there. So if we're already doing what he says, that's fine. I have no problem with that. If we're not, I just want to make sure there's a process where tomorrow or Monday, people are not getting cited and saying, you better pay X amount of dollars and you got to have it down by 30 days or else. That's the only thing I'm asking. And if that's the case, that's why I asked for the attorney's opinion. Can we provide some kind of possible, if not amnesty, some kind of amendment to say that it does not occur until 30 days, 60 days, so that they can comply in case there is a hardship. But according to the manager, they're already doing that. So they're already doing that, then I don't have to do it. But if not, that's why I asked for the sponsor for that caveat of at least 30 or 45 days before we start citing people. But listen to man, he said it's not occurring, so I guess I'll have to do that. I'll not worry about that amendment for the moment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Madam Attorney, did you want to weigh in on the second part of his question?
Well, other than to say there are two things. One, you can definitely have an amnesty program. I think the city have passed one. I'm not sure if it's expired. And Ms. Wilcox would know that better than I would.
No, the amnesty is still,
Okay.
for those cases, they would need an amnesty. I mean, to be honest with you, because the only thing they receive is a citation, and that has been after 30 days of, as the manager said, a warning notice that was issued. We gave them 30 days. We explained it to them what the process was for them to get into compliance. And 30 days is normally that's a long time to just work with someone and they still haven't complied.
So with that in mind, and I hate to stop you, Ms. Wilcox, but I just want to go to the point of the legislation. That would deal with, this legislation would be relevant under those circumstances if they still haven't complied, because what Commissioner Williams is saying, she wants to move on it. Now, and what you were saying, Commissioner Kelly, would be relevant, because if you could have, for purposes of the legislation that's being proposed, a provision within it, a whereas clause that made clear that it, there will be after warning, it would be after whatever else. You could do additional from the effective date. So even if you have given a notice already, it will be, we could make the notice, a further notice from the effective date. So, another 30 days or whatever. So it's just a matter of whether you all want to go forward with it. And if you do, based on what Ms. Wilcox is saying, it is, it's relevant, it's right, because you don't have people complying. And perhaps if you attach enforcement that might, result in a lien to their property, that may get their attention.
To the mayor, just wanted to respond. Oh, thank you. So someone said there's no process. This is the process. This is the answer to that. But I don't want to amend it. So I know you mentioned that, but no, I'm not in agreement to that. Thank you. Ms. Wilcox, if you don't mind.
Basically, the city manager has said basically what I would have said. I'm going to be honest with you. He just rolled out the whole process, and we followed the process based on your ordinance that you guys approved. And our process is issue a warning. And then if you notice that the report that I gave you guys, a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, it shows you every one of them were warned. We also had verbal conversations with them. We met with a lot of them. And the problem is none of them have attempted to even come to building to even begin to try to understand, what do I need to do to move this forth for compliance? As a result, 30 days later, we issued the citation. And that's where we are. Right now, we're in limbo because of, I guess everybody's trying to figure out what now do you want us to do, meaning us code, because there are issues with the commission and how we move forward from here with that particular situation. But the problem is Public Works is having an issue because they can't do their jobs with the meters inside other people's property because of the encroachment onto the easement. So how do we fix that?
So Ms. Wilcox, Ms. Wilcox, does this legislation help code approach and do what you need to do?
The current legislation?
Yes.
Not really. The only thing it does
This legislation, new legislation.
The new
Yes.
legislation. It will be the same process. We're going to do the warning. We're going to allow them to come into compliance. If they do not come into compliance, again, it'll be a citation issue. If they do not continue to comply, we move it before the special magistrate for her to.
Exactly.
And then nothing happens. I mean, to be honest with you, there is no other piece other than the legal component of that. And we have not addressed that yet.
Mr.
When
Mayor.
they do not comply.
Okay, who's that? Oh, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to clarify Mrs. Wilcox's response. I think she's saying that the legislation reflects what's already there in the code, but to answer the question that was asked by Commissioner Williams, yes, absolutely, it does help. We look to the elected officials for clarification on how we want to move forward in enforcement. And if we are implementing the process, legislation that directs and supports that is always helpful to administration for guidance.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
well then please show me the process. Because I heard your process, which is the one already there. This legislation says through a code enforcement process. So if the process is the same, what is the difference? That's number one. Number two, I want to know what this process is because people that have come to meet me Monday said, I got a permit from the city. So even if you got a permit, if you're wrong, you're wrong. I got that. But what happens with that permit? What happens with that? Are they granted more time because in their mind, is that communicated? How is that communicated? Is that part of the process already? Because what you just said was that the process you're using is the process other than the lien or legal. The manager said this would help because it would give you a process. I'm trying to understand, there are two different processes? Because that's what I'm confused about. And again, the issue is not about folks encroaching and the city property and can't read the water bill. That's not the issue. The issue is for them to come into compliance. What you're doing now, from what I was told or what was said beginning, you're talking to them, you're warning them before you even cite them. So what is the different process that you're going to do to this legislation? My question is, because I looked at your list and some of them, it just says they're encroaching in the alleyway, but then there are some, particularly on York Street again, that, no permit for the thing. So they're gonna permit. Then you got some, they got a permit, shouldn't have got it, whatever. So how are they dealt with? Some that have complied. So I see different scenarios, but what I'm hearing basically seems like two different processes. And I don't see that second process part of legislation in this document. So Mr. Mayor, I can't support it. It seems like we're already doing what we need to do. And if we're doing what we're supposed to do, I have no problem saying to the residents, you got to comply because if they're following the process, if we've warned them and all of that, that's all we could do. So I don't see the need to do this that we're already doing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem, Commissioner Kelly.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Vice Mayor.
ask Ms. Wilmore, the people that receive the 30-day, the warning or whatnot, have any of them complied with anything?
No, none of them have complied with any of this.
We can't hear you, Mrs. Wilcox.
None of them have complied to date. As far as what the compliance would be, is to go to building and license, meet with the department there to see what permits they need to pull so that they can rightfully remove the fence and have it surveyed and put it into the right position of where it should be placed. None of them have done that. Only thing they've really done is had several meetings with administration, with the city manager, on some with you guys, I assume, but nothing has changed other than they got the notice.
And they understand that they can't keep city property.
They understand, but they're challenging it, a lot of them, because of the years that they've been there. I understand that. I'm only enforcing the code. Because that's their challenge, that's their issue, is that they've been there for 40 years and nobody ever did anything about it. Why are we bothering them now? It's not about that. We're only enforcing the code. And for me, mostly is because, like I said, I work hand in hand with other departments, mainly public works when it comes to this. And when they come to me and say, Ms. Wilcox, we can't get to the meter, we got to notice them to let them know that you're encroaching and prohibiting them from doing their job to get to read the water meters. All of this has been discussed, but to answer your question, no, they haven't went any further.
Mr. Mayor.
Before you, can I have a question on that? You finish?
Go ahead.
All right, Commissioner Kelly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, because I want to add to the fact that if they're following it, and so they got to come in, get a survey, whatever, that's the part, Madam Attorney, that I want to address if we're going to follow through, because that's a cost. Even if they do it, that's a cost. It's not free. And that's part of the headache. I think some of those long-term owners have. It's not just coming in and doing it. They gotta get a survey. They got that's money that they probably don't have. That's why I was saying about making sure they've given opportunity to comply. It's
Yes.
not about that they don't have to comply, but I was looking for in this new process, maybe an additional 15 or 20 days, because what do we do for the folks at the flea market? We work with them. When they were going through their challenges, it was a little different scenario, but we work with them to work it out. So to me, the homeowners need to deserve the same courtesy. If you get to the point where they're not complying, then you go to legal and take the next step. I don't have a problem with that. But again, it's not my legislation, so I will leave that alone, because the sponsor already says she doesn't want to add amendments. But that's where I am on that.
And
Thank
if,
you, Mr. Mayor.
and if I can speak to that, to what you just said, Commissioner Kelly, we have done that. We've given them the opportunity. We've even offered to give them additional time to pull your survey if that's what you need, sir or ma'am. We can work with you to do that. We've done all of that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager, before you say that, and I know I said this resolution was duplicative, and I stand on what I said before, but I hear a lot of things, and I also talked about there is no plan. But then I hear that Public Works can't read meters, and I hear that this has been going on, and the property's been there for over 40 years. So what have we been doing pre these violations? What the Public Works reading, how were they reading the meters then? And if a lot of these residents pulled permits, got inspected, we approved it, and then now we're here. So that's why I'm a little uncomfortable with this.
so let me, Mr. Mayor, so let me restate again what I stated previously. The city of Opa-locka for many, many years was not charging residents on their water bills for actual usage. That was estimates. So long as we were doing estimates, it wasn't necessary for Public Works to actually go out there and read the meters. We are moving away from, particularly just since we've had this litigation case for doing this activity, we are moving away attempting to move away from estimating people's water bills. They can easily be disputed and end us back in litigation. So we want to actually charge residents for only the water they use, not for the fact that on March of every year, your family we estimate your family uses 55 gallons. But what if your family only used 40 gallons that month? We should be charging you for only the 40 gallons that you actually utilize, not the estimate for the 55 gallons. So that is a challenge from the past before this administration that we are looking to trying to rectify and move forward. And additionally, with the permits, we have found instances where residents have come forward to us through this process and said, hey, several years ago, I received a permit from the city of Opa-locka that said that I could put my fence on city property. At some point, we do need to look at that. How did that happen? Who signed off on that? What was the process? Maybe take additional administrative action on those. But at the same time, having an illegal permit does not survey our land. So we want to work with these residents and educate them and get them to understand that, having this permit that was provided to you by some process that we're unclear on, several years ago, by someone that may or may not still be in the city of Opa-locka, does not entitle you to city property. I would like to suggest to the commission in discussion of this item, it is easier and more economical for the city to provide the surveys, and since most of the times we have them, and also to move the fences for them. So if this is something that the commission would be willing to entertain, management would absolutely support that.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Bass.
Thank you. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all this conversation. And I'm thinking, who's thinking about the residents whose water meters are not being able to be read because of other issues with other people's fences?
Who's looking out for those residents? Who's speaking for those residents? I agree with the manager. If we have to step in with the surveys, moving the fence, let's do what we have to do. Because we can't just go ahead and, hoorah for one set of our residents and the others are just out to wherever you want to put them at. And then we have our department can't do their jobs because of the fence. I would love for us to entertain where we can have the city to do our part the best we can for all of our residents who this is affecting, not just the ones whose fence are not where it's supposed to be. So I think we should entertain the city taking on the responsibility with the surveys and moving the fence.
And because I asked that question, so I'm glad you brought that up. I guess we're talking case by case basis. I'm under the impression that the issue with the family not being able to turn on their water was rectified. Also, the city celebrated the fact that we have digitized all of our water meters.
Right.
So, and it was also stated at a meeting, I believe a meeting or two ago, that the only reason that a person would need to go into someone's yard is to manually, when they're changing over service. So that's not the issue here. Because these people that are on that, what we're talking about, have been living there for some years. So
Mr. Mayor.
I was asking for a plan. I know Commissioner Kelly brought up about a plan, but we have yet to give answers and get the plan. And it's just, that's why I said, this is duplicative to that's already in place.
But there go the plan. The managers give the plan. Let's get together, see if the city can go ahead, get the surveys done and help move fences that needs to be moved. I think, and you know what? I have no intentions of running again for this position. I have no intentions to sit here and pedicate our residents any longer. That's what we do. We sit here and we pedicate our residents. We put them in a little lump and we want them to stay there. Our residents are so much more than how we are picturing them to be.
But that's what we were elected to do, to fight for our residents.
No, the opposite is, that's what I'm saying. Let's not lump them. Let's not do that. Let's give them some standards. If they did something that was wrong, it was wrong, regardless of it was done yesterday or 2 years ago, it was wrong. We were wrong, exactly. So if we were wrong, let's just go ahead, get the surveys, get the fence down and move on.
And I will say, Mr. Mayor, the statement has been made. The statement has been made that there is no plan. The plan is outlined, the plan has been stated, maybe it has to be reread by certain members. But I will say, plenty legislation comes up here with no plan that we've passed, or not dug deep as this one. Plenty legislation. The plan has been outlined. I've heard it said by Ms. Wilcox. I've heard it said by the manager. So I'm done. You can call the question if everyone's done.
Okay, so, well, we're still open for discussion.
If I may.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Because there's two wrongs in the situation. The city may have had fault, the residents had fault. If the mayor is, if the manager is profiting that we do the work for them, the survey, move the fence, then I think that's a great idea. They can't keep the property. Because if you give them the property, I want my alleyway too. Everybody in the city is gonna want what's behind their house. And technically, we really can't have it. We need it. So if we're gonna do the work, it doesn't cost them anything. We're doing the work. We're gonna put their fence where it's supposed to be, and the city will have their property back, and it would not have cost them a dime. I don't see that being an issue. But if we let them keep the property that they've had for 40 years that belong to the city, then get ready, because it's going to be a bigger fight out there than what we're discussing now.
Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly.
Thank you. I'm going back to what I said originally. Whatever the process is, the managers proffered something that's not in the legislation. And that's why I brought up the amendment for that reason. What can we do to get folks to comply? The code enforcement manager said they've tried that, or they're working on that, or they've offered that. I didn't see that in this legislation. The sponsor has said the process is the process. The manager's proffering, which the vice mayor just mentioned, to pay for the survey for whatever the cost may be. That was the question I asked originally when I mentioned amnesty or to help mitigate the cost. That's not in the legislation. And the sponsors made it clear she does not want to amend the legislation. So that's why I said I can support it. Now, Vice Mayor, if you're agreeing with the manager, and I have no problem with that, you know, the process of surveys and all that, because that's what I was referencing, to assist them to comply. If that does not work and we have to go lien the property, I have no problem with it. But that is not in this legislation. So we're gonna, if we're gonna do that, it has to be put in the legislation, because right now, that's not in the legislation. And the sponsors indicated she does
Mr.
not
Mayor.
want to amend the legislation.
So what was stated before was not what was stated then. I will amend to what the manager did say, which is supporting the surveys and moving the fences. That I will support, and I will yeah.
There may be legal issues involved with that. There's a concept called adverse possession. And so I don't think that we should just be doing surveys and moving fences. There's some other steps that the city would need to take, and it would be really a case by case basis.
And that's what I figured. That's why I said I didn't want to amend, because I know it is case by case. And I know that that's going to be something that we would have to deal with on a legal, with legal.
Madam Sponsor. Mr. Mayor, if I could, to the sponsor. Madam Sponsor, that's exactly what the code manager said. They've offered to do that already. So if we can't do that, Madam Attorney, we shouldn't be offering that. Exactly what the manager proffered that we could do, maybe offer to pay for surveys or to come into compliance.
That part, Commissioner, through the mayor.
I'm asking for clarification on what you've offered, because you said you tried to work with them.
I'm sorry, what we offered them was additional time if needed to pull the proper permits for the process to be compliance. We never, ever in my office offered to move their fence.
Okay, so how much time do you give them extra?
They never came back to discuss once they go to the building department, and then from there, we would determine how long will it take you from this point, sir or ma'am, to remove your fence. But we could have easily given them another 30 days. It's not a problem about that, because like you said, we're about compliance. And so we will work with them to get the compliance met. But that has not happened with any of the residents that we've noticed on this issue.
Okay.
All right, so we've been around this mountain long enough, so we can now call the question. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
No.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
No.
Motion passes 3-2.
All right, Madam Attorney, we're going to 13-6.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, setting the proposed budget for the City of Opa-locka, Florida, as required by the state and local agreement of cooperation between the Florida governor and the City of Opa-locka for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, establishing requirements for the approval of the city budget on or before August 1st, and forwarding to the governor the proposed annual budget of the city as preliminary approved by the City Commission for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, and directing the city manager to forward a copy of this resolution and proposed budget to the governor, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is our annual budget that is due to the state at the end of this month. By statute, we have been in compliance by having 2 public hearings and incorporated the feedback of the commission. And I have our budget administrator, Mr. Robert Anathan, available to answer any specific questions that members of the commission may have.
Mr. Anathan? But you know what? I'm sorry, Mr. Anathan. I'm sorry. We're gonna open up for discussion. Item was pulled. Any discussion from my colleagues on the budget?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I was not here, so I got the document from the manager's office. I just have 2 questions really. Where in this document did we add additional money for the finance department? Because I know I had mentioned that we need more, so it might be in here and I just didn't see it, where that is and how much more do we add to the finance budget? And secondly, I noticed there's an increase in the marketing and public relations of $50,000. I know it's probably gonna pass, but I'm totally opposed. I did look at the video of the presentation the manager gave. I'm totally opposed to giving them any more money at this point, because to me, they haven't delivered on the stuff that they should have already been doing. So to add 50,000 more for a potential newsletter and whatever else they're gonna do, when to me, they're not meeting half of what my opinion their contract calls for. That 50,000 should be put in finance to hire someone or increase their budget. And I want to put that on the record because I did not hear it when I looked at the video of the workshop as it relates to that, because I made it very clear in my comments at the first budget workshop that we needed to substantially increase finance to be able to get the documents and information that we need to make sure we meet the December 31st deadline. I know it's indicated that we probably couldn't get a firm, possibly could hire people, but I did not see that in the document. So if I can just get that question, whether there's more in there or not, and if there is more, where it's at, because I didn't see it. And I just wanted to put on the record the 50,000, because it's not going to change the bottom line or the millage rate. But I don't see the need to increase market and public relations another $50,000 at all. But to the mayor, to the manager, if I can get that answer from the budget director, so I just know where it is, if it's there, or if it's still the same amount that we originally had from the first workshop. And then we can call for the vote. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Ms. Anathan?
I'll respond, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Commissioner Kelly highlights 2 issues. The first issue was the issue that was brought before us to address our staffing and our finance department. So we looked at, Mr. Anathan and I looked at, with the feedback from our finance director, Mrs. Naima Walker, we looked at the temporary staffing that we discussed that would increase our budget by $500,000 with 2.5 temporary staff positions. That figure is annualized. It actually comes to about $437,000. And with the other amendments to the budget, the total amendment came to over $1 million. So we weren't able to sustain all of the changes that we were looking to incorporate as feedback and recommendations from the commission. So we put forward what we hope and believe is a more viable plan, which is utilize a portion of that of the money of the $437,000 that we propose to spend by increasing the salaries of those positions and adding a signing bonus so that we can quickly put in place members of our finance teams. These members will be permanent. They will understand our books. They'll understand our bookkeeping. They'll be a part of our succession plan. And we believe that with the increased salaries of the finance department and with the sign-on bonuses, 1, we're going to save about $300,000, and 2, we'll get not temporary staff, but permanent staff. So that is what you're seeing reflected in the budget. The second issue with regard to the increase in PR and marketing services, it's actually marketing services. That is not revenue that goes to Roar Media. Roar Media gets its monthly fee from its contract that includes its scope of services. The newsletter is outside the scope of services, just like the promotional videos that we hope to do with the commission next month. The newsletter is an opportunity for the commission to address the residents and talk about your initiatives on a monthly basis, what's going on in the city, what your vision is for the city. And we really want to move that item forward so that residents can be more engaged, have opportunity for our parks to discuss what's going on in the parks and what programs we have for the kids, any new programs we have for residents. They may not know all of the activities that we have there. So that $50,000, just like the promotional videos, when we have additional marketing items that are outside the scope of the contract for Roar Media, we put that out through our procurement process. Now, Roar Media is obviously open to put in a bid, but that's not guaranteed that they'll receive it. They did bid for the promotional videos that we're going to be shooting with the commission. However, they did not win that bid. So we're actually be going with the Wiggins firm to actually do those promotional videos. So all work that's not already included in the contract for Roar Media goes out through our procurement process, and Roar Media may get it, but that's not certain.
Okay, so thank you for those responses. So the $50,000 is actually going out on procurement for someone to do a newsletter.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so I'll look forward to seeing that. I still stand by that $50,000 to go in finance. The other thing was to increase with signing bonuses, et cetera, you're increasing 2.5 people. Is that what I understood you to say?
I will defer to Mrs. Walker for the total number of vacancies that's going to fill, or Mr. Anathan, if they can. I don't want to misspeak. Mr. Anathan, yeah.
Hi, good evening, Commission. Bob Anathan, Budget Administrator. 2 points to answer that question. The bonuses and so forth that were discussed were for 2 accountants and 1 accountant 2, total of 3.
So it's 3 positions.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to up the pay with a signing bonus to ensure that they stay here and they're here, but it's 3 positions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that amount for those 3 positions is what? What's the total amount? Because management has several numbers.
Well, there's a very significant increase. The total compensation would be $230,000 of base pay plus a signing bonus distributed depending on seniority or depending on grade. I have another $20,000. Total will be $250,000.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I make a second point, the resolution does have a couple blanks right now that need to be filled in. I'd like to offer that number for the resolution. It's blank as to the dollar amount that needs to be provided. If I may, the appropriate number would be 90. We're back.
Mr. Anderson, you said that there's several blanks in the resolution.
There was, is there still blank in that, or has that been taken care of?
Mr. Mayor? Yes, on the first page of the resolution, you should see some blank spaces.
No, I see
Okay.
it. I just was repeating what he said.
Oh, okay.
He started, it was muffled.
It's also on the second page as well, same number.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Anderson.
The appropriate number will be $95,086,362. That's 95,086,362.
Okay. You said you had.
That's all I have to offer unless there are any
So
questions.
those are both numbers, or just the usage of?
It's on the first page, and also it's twice on the first page, I believe, and then again on the second page.
Got it. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I guess we can call the question. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
No.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-1.
All right, we're going into add-on items 14-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, amending the contract between the City of Opa-locka, Florida and Bernadette Norris Weeks, PA, providing for incorporation recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right,
This is sponsored by Mayor Taylor.
can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. This is my items, I guess I'll present it. It's just amending the city attorney's contract as it stands today and raising her, what's that?
Retainer.
Retainer, thank you. Raising her retainer up. So what you have before you today is the amendment, which is basically what the commission discussed, which is timely invoices as well as the foreclosures. So any questions on this item? All right, hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
All right, we're going to that planning and zoning. Planning and zoning 15-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, accepting approval of the building height variance for the construction of a metal building with the height proposed of 50 feet on the property located at 12705 Carroll Lane and identified by folio number 08-2128-003-0530 in the I-4 zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bass. Mr. Manager, you can present the item and then we'll open up for public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this item has to do with a business that has been in the city of Opa-locka for several years. Miami-Dade County, upon review, has found that their operations are allowing some elements into our stormwater that should not be getting into our stormwater. So they are going to require that they build a cover to continue their operations. The cover that the county was requiring them to build exceeds our height variance. So we're requesting a variance on our height ordinance in order to allow them to become compliant with Miami-Dade County. In addition to that item, we have the site plan and developer agreement. We also have Mr. Lee, our zoning official, here to answer any additional questions you may have about this item. This way.
Okay, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing, one second, Mr. Lee. Public hearing is open. Hearing none, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any questions on this item from the commission?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
I had one question. It was from Mr. Lee. I know in my agenda briefing, I asked if there was another photo I'm looking for, like, so that I can see what this would look like. I know I see the site plans, but if there was something that was built like this somewhere in another city or state, but I didn't get that information.
Gerald Lee, Planning and Community Development Department zoning official. We sent something by email to you that showed the roof structure. It's pretty much the roof itself and then the points that it touches the ground, but it's no walls in between. Because the grappling equipment that they're using needs to be underneath that roof structure. And it's just a huge, to keep that apparatus covered, to keep water from being on the property, to infiltrate the canal and the groundwater. I'm sorry that you didn't see it.
I've made mention several times that when thank you so much. That it didn't open up. That work. My city phone does not work at work. Made mention of that. Thank you. I saw it.
Okay, any other questions for? Any other questions? All right, we can call the question.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
all right, Madam Attorney, 15-2.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, granting approval of the site plan for the construction of a proposed metal building with a height of 50 feet on the property located at 12705 Cairo Lane and identified by folio number 08-2128-003-0530 and the I-4 zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is also sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager, you can present and then we'll open up for public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is another item coming through from our Community Development Department, and we have our zoning official, Mr. Lee, available to answer any questions the commission may have after a public hearing.
Okay, so we know this item is coupled with the first one. Any questions for Mr. Lee? Oh, I'm sorry. This is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Hearing none, seeing none, public hearing is closed. All right. Any questions for Mr. Lee? All right, hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, we can call the question.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
okay, Madam Attorney, 15-3.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, granting approval of the development agreement for the construction of a metal building with a proposed height of 50 feet on the property located at 12705 Cairo Lane and identified by folio number 08-2128-003-0530 in the I-4 zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. So this is the development agreement in support of the last item you just passed, coming from our Community Development Department. And again, Mr. Lee, our zoning official, is available to answer any questions that the commission may have.
All right, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Hearing none, seeing none, public hearing is closed. All right, any questions for Mr. Lee? We know this item is coupled with the first two. All right, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
okay, Madam Attorney, 15-4.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the final site plan review request for the construction of an 8-story multifamily apartment building on the property located at 2090 Alibaba Avenue and identified by folio 08-2122-003-2100 quarter mixed use district, zoning district, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Vice Mayor Irvin, second by Commissioner Bass. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. So this is the site plan, in addition to what you've already passed. And again, this is coming from our Community Development Department, and our zoning official, Mr. Lee, is available to answer any questions that the commission may have after public hearing.
No, Mr. Manager, this is not coupled. This is not coupled with what we just passed. It's a different one.
15-4?
Yeah, it's for
Oh.
8-story multi-family apartment unit.
Yes, so this is, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My apologies for that. So this is a resolution for a site plan, and subsequent, we'll have the development agreement for a 8-story structure on Alibaba, right across from our facility that is how currently houses a tenant there. We also have, they are within their restrictions, excuse me, they're within our code. So this is more of a notice item and also in compliance with SB 102. If the commission does have any questions, we have our zoning official, Mr. Lee, available to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. Any questions for Mr. Lee on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I'll make my statements for both of them because they tie together. I don't have a problem with the apartments, but I want to register the same concern I have with any development that's housing, and that is the challenge with parking. And as I said in my briefing, it's a request for so many units, 48, 88 spaces, which is of course part of the tandem parking concept. But still those folks that come to visit, and everybody knows we got more than 2 cars. So I just want to put that on record. It's something with any housing development, we need to be looking at futuristically. Because we want development, we want housing, got all of that. But anybody that travels on that street, that area knows when those 2 cars go in there for their spots, anybody comes to visit, any neighbors, anybody coming over, where are they going to park? They're going to park out there on the side of the street, which is going to be a challenge we already have. So I want to register that. I hope some point somebody comes up with a plan or idea, because all of us sitting up here know 48 units, 88 spots, 2 because they're tandem. Where's that 3rd car going? And if everybody gets 1 visitor for Thanksgiving, where are those 48 visitors going to go? That's just realistic. So I hope at some point the manager's office, planning development, whoever comes with a plan. The second question I have, which I asked in the briefing, could it be done with any of these units? And I'm really saying for this one, it might be too late because it's kind of far down the road, to include if not a police substation, a place within these units for public safety. And I know I asked it, could it be done for this one? And you're gonna, I guess, check to see if it could even be done. And I don't know if it can. I just want to ask that question again because I didn't get the answer to that one. And if it can't, I understand it may be too far down the road. But in the future, we have these a whole lot of units. If we can incorporate early on, at least request, ask, whatever, if you can have a office someplace in that building, in that complex. I know down the first floor for this one is going to be retail, so maybe could have been an area there for public safety, a little office, place for the car, et cetera, whatever. Is that doable, or are we too far down the road on this particular project?
Gerald Lee, again, Commissioner, it's late in the game to try to expect them to change. We can still ask. And going forward, we have made note of your request to, in future developments, to ask for public safety space in every multifamily development and see where that goes.
This one is a large one. I figured it's probably too late for this one, but at least you could ask since they actually haven't started building. But I understand it's probably too late for this one, but I would just say to my colleagues going forward, we have these huge developments because we got housing that's coming down the pipe that we at least ask early on if that can be accommodated within some of these developments. So, okay, thank you, sir. Thank you,
And lastly, on that point of public safety, Mr. Gay did interject that for the projects that should fit this, it should be larger projects of more than 50 units. So this kind of just under.
No,
Okay.
I understand that.
Yes,
but,
sir.
It's gonna be more than 48 people there.
Yes,
I just keep it real. I mean, I'm gonna, I know they're not gonna build it for 2 years, Mr. Mayor, but y'all will be here. I want y'all to go over there and count the cars that are gonna be there for Thanksgiving and Christmas. You and Mr. Bass and Vice Mayor. I guarantee you, y'all ain't gonna be able to get down that street. But anyway, thank you, sir.
All right.
No problems. I guess we're gonna call the question. Clerk.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, going to 15-5.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving the development agreement review request for the construction of an 8-story multifamily apartment building on the property located at 2090 Alibaba Avenue and identified by folio 08-2122-003-2100 corridor mixed use zoning district, provided for an effective date. This is sponsored by the interim city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one of our community development projects. Again, this is the development agreement that accompanies the site plan that the commission just passed. And we have our zoning official, Mr. Lee, available to answer any questions that the commission may have.
All right, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is closed. This item is coupled with the first one, as the manager just stated. Do we have any questions? All right, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, we're going into our city manager's report. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the first thing we want to discuss and make sure that the commission is apprised of is all the work that we are doing in Glorietta Gardens. As we have seen, many of the residents came tonight and we welcome them. We have locked arms with the residents to bring about change. We appreciate the members of the commission that have come out and support Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Williams, yourself, the mayor, Vice Mayor Irvin, locking arms with the residents, meeting with them, having those discussions with them, as along with our code enforcement and our police department. Approximately a year ago, my office established an interdepartmental task force to address the residents' concerns over at Glorietta Gardens. What you see today is the work and success of that task force. We have been there are approximately 300 units there. Our code enforcement, our housing inspector have been in all of the units. We have compiled reports of the deficiencies and the citations and the violations. And we're currently meeting with the management and the ownership to bring about change. We hope to keep the commission, along with our elected officials, our state representative, our state senator, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's office, as well as HUD and the county, included in these conversations as we move forward to bring about change on behalf of these residents. And I open the floor up to commission if they have any questions regarding the work that we're currently doing at Glorietta Gardens.
Any questions for Glorietta Gardens?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I don't have a question. I just like to get the report and black and white and what came out of it. I will just say I'm glad my colleagues were over there. I did not even know about it the first meeting until really a resident called me and asked me why I wasn't over there. I wasn't even aware because the clerk hadn't been notified, so I don't know how we actually got the word to go over there, but I'm glad my colleagues have been over there dealing with the issue. So I'll await the black and white copy of the report of whatever we found. As the tenant president, Mr. Johnson mentioned, whatever we found to make it aware. So I'd like to the copy of that. And then as we go forward, the next steps to assisting the residents. So I can get that in black and white. I would appreciate it. Again, commend all of my colleagues for the efforts of assisting the residents. But I don't want it to be lost on the statement that the first young lady said, which is where we're going to wind up going, how that's going to work, and also what the tenant president said in reference to whatever we're asking for. He was making a statement there, whatever we're asking for, because at the end of the day, there's 328 units. And he's very clear when he said it. So I hope part of our plan and whatever process we're doing keeps that in mind. But I look forward to whatever the overall plan is and getting that information from the manager. Plus, all of us want it, but I'd like to get it black and white regarding this issue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. And I'll say, we said it earlier, so shout out to our management, our code enforcement, and our police department for the task force and going back there and hearing our residents. Thank you again, and we salute you for that. Anyone else on this subject?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Commissioner Bass?
To the city manager, I was just wondering, have you had conversations with the owners prior to, well, after the last visit that we were all there, and how did that go?
Yes, through the mayor to Commissioner Bass. Yes, we did have a meeting with the management on Monday at 1 p.m. Where we laid out our demands and proffered a consent agreement. Management did respond to our request for a consent agreement today with the MOU that was insufficient and does not properly address the needs and concerns. So we're going to bring them back to the table with some timeframes to quickly come together for resolution and a solution.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Williams?
I just want to thank management, staff, everyone, the police department, everyone for calling attention to the issue, as well as the commission for being there, several visits, morning, noon, and night. Let's just continue to just keep that on the radar. We were on the news. Commissioner Bass and Irvin, I saw you in your beautiful red shirts. And so I just want to just make sure that we keep this engine rolling, and then to just ensure that our residents, these are our residents, people, children, children, seniors, from cradle to the seniors, that we continue to love on and let them know that we're here for them. So I hope that, and I pray, and this is really for the commission, that this isn't just something that we start, but that we continue to do, because I thoroughly enjoyed going out and walking and meeting people. Vice Mayor Irvin is probably the most popular person I know back in Gloria Gardens. Got us ice cold water and everything. So I appreciate her for bringing this to the light, to the forefront, and inviting the commission to walk and have this to come to fruition. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Manager.
It's fine. Vice Mayor.
Mayor. I am so grateful to the police department, as well as the city manager's office and code enforcement. I walk with y'all foot to foot, even though Miss Wilma over there is terrified of my